I'm ready.
Right now I need 5 seconds. Okay.
Welcome today. We are here today because we need this conversation. We need a conversation. I'm going to talk about a couple of topics about what's going on in this city. One of them is, in 2014, former Chief Conrad and Mayor Fischer sat down with the community. At the Louisville Urban League, questions was heard and answers was given. We deserve the same conversation. Right here next to me is one of the community members that was at that meeting in 2014. Ms. Rhonda?
Yes, in 2014, I was one of the members at the Urban League when a meeting was called, community meeting, and Conrad was the chief of police at the time, and Mayor Fischer was still the mayor. And the problem was, as it is in 2021, is that a black man was assaulted with police brutality. There we were told there was some concessions that was going to be made in regards to police training. Alex Moses, he was a chaplain at the time. He was a part of the diversity training. It was said that it was going to be more community involvement, and police officers was going to be walking the neighborhoods to know the people in the neighborhood. Well, I'm here to tell you, none of that transpired. And now again in 2021, we are still conceding police brutality, and the mayor is not doing anything. Brought in a Chief Shields who's not doing anything to address police brutality in our neighborhoods and in our community. Why is they not trying to get rid of these rogue officers that they have on the force? What type of psychologicals are they doing? Who are they hiring that's supposed to be protecting us in our community? Because we still continually to be brutalized by police brutality. Just with what happened to him, and that because he was executing his right to police protest, as all other protesters have been doing, and they continually target protesters. Recently, we went on a peaceful protest out to Boystown Road, and a female, Carmen Jones, they ran after her, and on top of that, shadowed her and put her in chains like a slave. They are the slave catchers because they continually have this mentality that black lives do not matter, and the people are sick and tired of this. Mayor Fischer, this memorial, why do they continually break it down? Because the status quo do not want to be reminded of the blood on their hands with Breonna Taylor. You go to George Floyd and it's honored, and people continually go there to see that. Here in Louisville, we have not burnt anything. In other places, they burning stuff down, and we're not doing that. We're trying to comply and want peace, but we want justice, and we're not seeing justice, and we're sick and tired of that. And Shields, since she's been here, she's not met with any preachers. She has not met with the community. This is a wide open space. Come here and have a conversation with the community and make some changes with the police in this community, because we know that it's too much undercover cover up, and Breonna brought that to light with her murder, and they don't want people to see this, that a murder took place here. They want this to always be taken down and then not be reminded that justice has not been served. But we know justice has not been served, and we're going to keep protesting and bring it to the forefront until Mayor Fischer, the metro government was trying to impeach him. They need to fire him, and they need to get rid of Shields, because the $200,000 that she's earning on taxpayers' money, she is not doing anything to serve and protect the citizens of Louisville, Kentucky. And we're sick of it. We are sick of all of this fake window shopping that they doing down here, and that the people are not safe. We have our constitutional right to protest, so stop targeting the protesters down here and leave us alone. Stop. We should not have to break down Breonna's memorial every night, and then you have police on leave here in a car protecting an empty part. You have them in hot spots sitting in their cars and not doing anything. We have over 200 black cold case murders, and they are so focused on protesters, they're not doing their job. So yes, we sick and tired. And the mayor, you better listen. You need to be fired. You're supposed to be the leader of the conference of the National Conference of Mayors. You can't even lead your own city. And Shields, you're hiding behind an ivory tower in your office and will not come out into the community. Have this conversation. Do the right thing about the people. Fire, prosecute the cops. The one who did D, he should be fired and do it to fallout later as far as the FOP and so on. So what? You done paid out money with the mandates with Breonna and have not kept one iota mandate that was given with that settlement. Even tried in Frankfurt want to penalize the protesters and said if they say something to the police, they want to get them locked up. You know, sticking stones, what's the saying? Sticking stones, grounds, but words will never hurt me. And do you think what black people have gone through with the police at night and in broad daylight, and the things they have called us cool niggas and everything else, and they get upset because the young people they so overboiling and frustrated because we have not seen any victories. We have not seen any arrests. We have not seen any justice, and this justice is not in this town.
Thank you, Ms. Rhonda.
Thank you, Ms. Rhonda. Thank you. Ms. Rhonda. Your first and last name is spelled.
Oh, Rhonda, R-H-O-N-D-A, M-A-T-H-I-E-S. M-A-T-H-I-E-S. Mathis, like Johnny Mathis. I'm a long lost relative waiting on my money.
Thank you, Ms. Rhonda. Thank you. Okay, we need this conversation. When it comes to this civil space, according to the laws, when it comes to Louisville, Kentucky, this is not part of Metro Parks. So therefore, there's no time limit, no anything. They just show you the system and this government can do wherever they want, because this is a civil space when you look it up. I'm gonna call out the next person, Aaron Conway. He's the one who's been designing these memorials right behind us. The first, for me, I say let the community decide what this park should look like. And that'd be the first community engagement for me. So Aaron?
Hi. I have a number of thoughts written down. Too much to remember. My name's Aaron Conaway, artist and local business owner. Last July, as an act of support and spontaneous creativity, I created the Breonna painting with my friends and art collective co-members Lydia and Susie to help Miss Rosie with the day-to-day routine of setting up and storing the memorial overnight. It required so much work, and she did such a great job of maintaining it. Little did I know that this painting would stand upright soon, much less become iconic and eventually placed at the Speed Art Museum as a teaching device about art and activism. In that display at the Speed, the U of L class that produced the exhibition text wrote, "Although many artistic modes can be encompassed by the term creative activism, there are specific underlying qualities that inform activist art. Activist art seeks to engage social, political, and economic realities through direct action, rather than call attention to given issue through a political aesthetic. Activist art uses tactics of organization, occupation, and visual communication to mobilize groups and to effect measurable change. On that note, it has been acknowledged by the mayor that we have a health crisis that exists in the form of systemic racism in the city. It has also been acknowledged that the wrong that this movement has sought justice for is real, marked with a $12 million underline. I'm going to say firmly that simply putting a traditional bronze plaque in the square as planned, meant to historicize a movement that seeks to accomplish necessary measurable change, we need simply misses the point. Only the power of art can give context and inspire a new vision of the future. Art has been central to this movement, has allowed us to safely speak truth to power, and has brought true healing to the community. Whether it was the act of making it or the community standing back and admiring it, experiencing it, it has been essential healing. Also, I want to say something about healing. As we drove up this morning and parked the trailer carrying all the artwork and the large memorial portrait behind me, we were passed by two women as they were walking by the sidewalk. As they passed, one of them looked up at Brianna and blew a kiss. It was a quick but heartfelt gesture. I think this speaks volumes to how essential it is to bring a deep and meaningful memorial to the square, to honor her, the movement, to provide her justice, and to acknowledge the Black liberation she has inspired. Some people in the movement use their voices, others march or advocate to representatives. Artists use their time, money, and talent to bring a whole other aspect to the movement. It carries across mediums and is a universal language. It's powerful and transcends words. We've seen Brianna's face and name show up across the globe over the past year in the form of visual art and music and poetry, speaking to how police repression, brutality, and state violence have affected all of humanity. I personally have experienced unnecessary violence at the hands of the police 3 times before this movement, and once on Bardstown Road on Announcement Day. Channeling that aggression and violence into creativity and a positive outlet is essential, and an example of how we should be thinking about fixing our community and the culture we have found ourselves in. We must represent Brianna in Louisville, Kentucky, just as artists have across the world. There are so many examples of how this could be done in a very beautiful and exceptional way. One person suggested a mosaic, which reminded me of John Lennon's Imagine Memorial in New York City's Central Park. It's simple, but with a beautiful design, it's incredibly peaceful and powerful, providing people a place to visit and spend time contemplating a life. We need something special. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. So, we need this community conversation. Like he said, this is crazy. Taking the property from here is crazy. It's really sad. The next topic I'm going to talk about is on March 10th, WLKY released a news article talking about a historical marker to honor Breonna Taylor, fallen EMTs, and other protesters. We noticed there are some missing names from that. That is Travis Nodesty and Chris Rock. Vincent James said 2 things. He talked to all the family members. Second, their deaths was not like the others, and my thoughts is their names needs to be heard. So I have Travis's sister here with us today. Sarah?
Hi, my name is Sarah Nodesty. That's pronounced Nodesty, spelled Nagdy. I'm Travis's sister, Sarah with an H, Sarah. And Travis was a huge staple in this community. When I heard of his passing, I was distraught, I was shocked, I was heartbroken after all we've been throughout like our childhood and stuff, and for him just to be gone. And he changed his life around, no matter like our traumatic like upbringing or whatnot. He changed his life around and put meaning into what he did. And to find out that that the city is not going to put his name on the memorial plaque is outright disrespectful. Like, it's just disrespectful, to be honest. Like, when you look at the history of our country, like, when you raise our generation to say, like, justice and liberty for all, and when you silence us, or when you get mad at us for upholding that, it's just disrespectful, to be honest. And, like, it seems like the older generations get mad when we uphold that oath, and when we uphold police officers who are sworn to serve and protect through our taxes, who we're paying. When they don't serve and protect us, it's just outright disrespectful. And Travis stood up for what he believed in. He stood up for justice for black women, for black communities, for minors, and not minorities and whatnot. And so he stood up for that. And to find out that his name isn't going to be with David McAtee's or Tyler Gerst is just disrespectful. Chris Smith, not to mention Chris Rock Smith, he put energy into this. He stood up for what was being silenced, what was being ignored. And so did Travis. And to find out that the city that we are a part of, that we grew up in, that we claimed and stuff, is not going to memorialize him, it's just wrong, to be honest. Like, he literally found meaning in speaking up to injustice that was happening in this city. But when you look at the history of this city and in our country, it's really nothing to be proud of when you look at what's happening to all the minorities, to the black generations and whatnot, and how there's still repercussions. Like, Jim Crow was just like 50 years ago, but there's still repercussions. You can still see that. The training that LMPD uses and all of the police forces use, they still use trainings from Jim Crow era, if you look at it. So Travis stood up against all that, and to find out that the city is not going to memorialize his name after all the energy that he put up into this and through everybody it's just wrong, to say the least. Travis, he literally kept everybody going, and without him here, it just feels different. He, like, marching and whatnot, feeling exhausted. He could sense that everybody was tired. Like, we're all tired. We're all tired of the injustice through generations and whatnot. And he still kept everybody going. He still could sense that, and he still focused everybody on, like, to keep going. And to not acknowledge that when you see, like, what he did and how big of a impact his death was, is just, it kind of says something. All I can really say is just, like, when the city said that they talked to our family, no, they didn't. It was a lie, obviously, no big surprise. All I can say is that we still need justice for Breonna, for Dee, for Carmen Jones. When you see that the police are running after these young people, punching them in their face, does that give you something to smile about? Does that give you something to be proud about? It doesn't for me. It really doesn't. And when you grow up in America and you see this stuff, when you see people being silenced and censored and attacked and beaten in the cameras and whatnot, like, even like Wave 3 News they were even shot intact, like, through the cops. I really just don't see how there's anything to be proud about. Like, Louisville in America, yes, like, the community is what we were proud about. But all I am just saying is, like, put Chris Smith's name on there, on the plaque, and put Travis Najee's name. At least acknowledge it. Like, you're supposed to represent us, everybody, yet you're not. So, like, put our money to use and represent us. We might be a minority, which we're most likely not going to be in a few years, but still, just stop silencing people and acknowledge, like, what our community has done, and keep going.
Appreciate it, sir. We need this community conversation. According to the square, this square was supposed to be remodeled since February of 2019. Look up requests on LouisvilleKentucky.gov, and you will see the design and the structure where it's supposed to be. And the plans got pushed back due to the corona, due to the movement. But now, if you want community engagement, I think we should have a say-so of what this space looked like. So I'm going to call up a family member of Breonna Taylor.
Peace of love this afternoon to everybody. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come down and speak. That's BIANCAAUSTIN. I really don't have much to say, but I would like to address Erica Shields. On January 19th, you took office as the new Chief of Police for Louisville, Kentucky. And I'm not sure when you filled out that application if you didn't see Breonna Taylor's name on that application. Your silence here it just shows a lack of leadership, and we need leadership here. We're not asking for your apologies. We don't need your condolences. We need process. We need progress, and we need results. We need to start seeing action down here in our community. We don't want you to come here and stand behind Mayor Fischer. We need a police chief who can exercise real leadership. Also, your silence is just it's just breathtaking how you don't reach out to your community, and we're down here crying for help, crying for justice. It just shouldn't take us to have a press conference for our chief of police to come out and greet the people. And as far as Breonna Taylor case is concerned, you haven't even addressed that at all. And for you to come to and for you to leave a city with the same injustice and come to another city and don't speak on the injustice and the tragedy that's going on here, you can step down. You can put your 2 weeks in because we don't need you. But instead of you coming in and opening up an internal investigation to look into the incompetent police work that led these officers to my niece's apartment where she was murdered, I'm speechless. But instead, what do they call the Proud Boys? Yeah. You have Proud Boys on your team, and you recognize them, and they get treated fairly than people who out here peacefully protesting and fighting for the injustice that's going on in Louisville. So, and then for Mayor Fischer, it's just a disappointment. I'm gonna just use that word, just a complete disappointment. For you to allow people to come down here and break down this memorial is just completely disrespectful, period. There's no excuse for it. And just like you was out here in the community when it was election season, you need to get back out here in the community with these people on your way out, because I got faith in my community that you won't serve another term in Louisville, especially with the lack of confidence that you have in the position and power that you hold for this city. It's quite embarrassing, to be honest with you. So, and that's all I have to say. I want to say thank y'all. It's been almost a year that y'all have came out and stood up for this city, boots on the ground, and y'all sacrificed a lot. Y'all been through a lot, and I want to just say on behalf of my family to yours, we greatly appreciate everything, and we want y'all to keep organizing, keep being out here, and don't let these people deter you from our goal. And our goal is to get not only justice for Breonna Taylor, but justice for our city, our city as a whole. And we got to come together, and we got to stick together, and to make real change. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Bianca. We need this conversation. I said we need this conversation, this community conversation. The next topic I'm going to talk about is, to my understanding, there was a discussion on the table canceling qualified immunity. In late March in 2021, New York City Council passed legislation to end qualified immunity. And it is time for Louisville to catch up. And more on this, I would like to call up Shamika Parrish-Wright, that is running for mayor right here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Thank you. I just want to say I want to add that the conversation has to continue. It's past time that we talk about qualified immunity. This conversation started long ago. Mayor Fischer came out here 6 or 7 times when the protest first started back in May. We're coming up on a year, and now it's harder for the community to get a meeting. So I encourage Mayor Fischer, Chief Shields, and everyone to continue to meet with the community, continue to let the people closest to the problems be leaders in the solutions. One of the things that we want to do today, wearing my Bell Project hat as I am operations manager for the Bell Project, we're hosting the first community conversation. We're saying it's past time that we talk about qualified immunity. We talk about our police. We understand what the role of the police are. We also understand that they are the most protected working class, that every worker in Louisville, in Kentucky, deserves the protections that our police have. But who's there to make sure that we survive their encounters? Who's looking out for the people? That's the job of the Commonwealth Attorney, Tom Wine. That's the job of our Louisville mayor. But too often our elected officials are more worried about endorsements or how they look to the FOP than taking care of our needs as a community. The police have been controlling our city like the horse riding the man. We have let that power and that corruption run our city too long. We're asking for accountability. We know what that looks like. And I know in this Justice for Breonna Taylor movement, a lot of people talked about the personality conflicts. We might go through it. We might argue. We might not agree on an approach. But we all agree that LMPD is guilty of aggressiveness, of over-policing our communities, of over-arresting, of using the judicial system to further bully the protesters. We have over 800 protesters that were arrested, including myself, many on bogus charges. Those charges have not been dropped. We want to call on the Commonwealth Attorney, our local county attorney, Mike O'Connell, Tom Wine, to drop the protest charges. I don't care that just my charges and Representative Scott's and her daughters are dropped. I want all the charges dropped for protesters. We were standing up for our rights. The police, as you saw what happened with D. Garrett, who was also a Bell Project client, was punched by a police officer. We know that they don't have the training they need if that's the only way that you can subdue someone when you're arresting them. We know that the problems with LMPD run very deep, and we knew that Chief Shields could not fix that by herself. And she cannot fix it by ignoring us. She cannot fix it by sending other people to talk to us. They have to be willing to sit down and have a conversation. But tonight, on Facebook Live, we're going to host our first community conversation on qualified immunity. It's under our Bell Project page. It's not an official Bell Project issue, but it's hosted by our attorney, Ted Schaus, who's our pro bono attorney. Another attorney and Representative Attica Scott are going to be there. We ask you to join. You have to join the Facebook group. We're going to record it and share it in case you miss it. We ask you to message us questions that you have. We're going to try to deal with this, and we're going to bring more people to the table. We ask you to keep going. We ask you to get justice for Breonna Taylor, like we've been talking about, and too many more. When we say LMPD is guilty, we want LMPD to be held accountable just like we are on our jobs and in our communities when we violate people's rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shamika. So we need this community conversation. We need this conversation. The next topic is going to be about is local reparations. According to the systems, Evanston, Illinois, and California is already on board with it. Mayor Fischer stands up for the HR 40, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparations. So, with that being said, in the meantime, we need local reparations. I don't like to call it streets.
Hello, how y'all doing today? My name is Streets, Speak for Streets, and we are here today just to be like, we need Erica Shields and Mayor Fischer to come out and speak to the community. I think it's very important for them to come out and speak to the community because, one, Erica Shields said in the news press conference that the protesters is the fault of people dying and things like that for the violence. Two, a lot of activists been out here fighting for stop the violence and stop the gun violence and stop killing each other and things like that. So my thing is, you say that you need our help. We need your help. Because every time we do events and we call y'all to come to the events, y'all don't come. Y'all don't come. Y'all don't step up. Y'all don't do anything. You feel me? We always got to call y'all out. So when y'all going to start helping us? When the celebrities is going to start getting up off their butt and stepping up and helping us? You feel me? I've been calling out all these celebrities for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. You feel me? And I get like a word answer like, oh, thank you. Jack Harlow said thank you. Terry Rozier said he's not from the city, but we put him on. You know, a lot of people is, you know, conversating about, you know, different things. So when is they gonna come help us? They don't need our help. We need their help. So my thing is, we need them to come in and start helping us. We need them to come in and start sitting in on us. Things like that happened to D should have never happened. After that whole situation, you should have came on the scene and seen everything that was evidence on the ground, and you should have been like, look, I'm gonna be the one in charge to get this stuff together. You feel me? It shouldn't be a long process of how the officers got to get arrested or how this process got to go. It should be like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and get them right now. We already see the evidence. We got the video. Boom, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it done. You feel me? So my thing is, all this stuff is going on, and y'all got ways and tactics of how to get this stuff done. People are getting killed left or right, and y'all can't solve a murder because we marching. We peaceful protesters marching, but y'all can't solve a murder that's in y'all face. We just had a murder just a week ago that's in y'all face. Videos is on it and all of that. Y'all got the names? Come on, start making y'all arrests. You feel me? It's every time with y'all. It's every time. So y'all gotta just step up and come on, join the team. It's not about, man, we don't like officers, we don't like officials, we don't like none of that. We trying to work together. We trying to build a bond. You come here from ATL to Louisville, it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be like, hey, we're gonna just come here. I'm gonna step in the city, everybody gonna be my friend. Now, it don't work like that. You gotta build relationships, you gotta build bonds, you gotta start talking to people that's doing real work on the ground. You gotta start building those connections so that way you can get out here in these cities and do things. You can get out in these communities and help, you feel me? We're not just gonna trust somebody that's just coming in, you feel me, and telling us anything. Like, it's for the people, we saying enough, a lot of people saying enough is enough. We saying that police is killing us is killing us, you feel me? We saying all of these different things, you feel me? But y'all have the power, y'all have the money, y'all have the resources to help us solve some of these things, to help us, you know, do some of these things. West Urban Coalition right now, we have a 5-point plan. Everybody knows the 5-point plan. We also building a safe haven in the West End, and right now getting a building to start the programs. We already have University of Louisville that's said that they'll help teach classes. We already have housing people that said they're gonna help with affordable housing. We got already trainers that's gonna help train with professional training. So when are y'all gonna come in to step in to be like, okay, cool, we gonna give them funds over, we gonna give them resource over, or push what we got pushing, you feel me? When are y'all gonna step behind us? So again, we got all these initiatives, we got all these things. You know, it's not just totally on y'all, it's about us too, because everybody in the community is beefing with each other. A lot of pastors is beefing with pastors. Everybody's beefing up with each other, going against each other. So we getting it together too. We getting it together too, as same as we getting it together with y'all. So as I come to a close, for me, it's bigger than protests. For me, it's bigger than me. For me, it's bigger than people. It's time to take a stand now. You feel me? It's time to get in these communities now, because streets been about a lot of different initiatives. stop the gun violence. I've been saying that, stop the violence. I've been saying Breonna Taylor, David McAtee, Travis, all these different people. So it's been about this. So come out, come help, come reach out, celebrities included, and come help the people. You feel me? Y'all got everybody's contact. Y'all know how to reach people. So come step out and come be behind these and also be behind these families that's out here that lost their loved ones. Be behind these families and support these families. You feel me? They are still hurting. Even though, you know, they might got justice or they didn't get justice or they got this and that, they still hurting because that person that got killed, they can't never come back no more. So when we gonna step behind these families and be like, hey, we here for you. What do you need? Things like that. And I'm not just talking about the chief, I'm talking about the people too. So that's why this conversation need to happen, because it also need to be a community dialogue, and it's also need to be a mayor and a chief dialogue as well. So again, let's go ahead and it's time to get to it. It's time to step up. It's time to have these conversations. We as activists that's been out here talking about gun violence, that's been talking about all these different things. So step behind us, because we doing it, you know, and start coming to these events that people planning to better the community. Yeah, we can disrupt the community. We can disrupt a lot of these different things, but also we got to build what we want for the community. We got to build of what the community want. You feel me? We can tear all this stuff down, but what are we gonna do next? Do we have a plan? We got to get a plan. We got to get a stone set in stone. You feel me? Russell neighborhood got to get their own police department. You know, but I ain't gonna keep talking though. You know, but again, Black Lives Matter. The poor matter. Every person that the government put down, that they throw away, they matter. They matter. Kashmir's life mattered because she's missing. Her two kids, her son and her daughter's missing their mother. She matter. Breonna Taylor matter because their family is missing them. David McAtee matter because their family missing them. A lot of we matter. So again, come on, step up, get behind us. Like I said, we got a 5-point plan, West Urban Coalitions. We doing a lot of things. Come in, come step into these programs. May 27th, we doing an event for all the governors to come out. Everybody in higher power to come out and talk to us and tell us what y'all got going on. You feel me? We want to hear y'all, so that way y'all can hear us. You feel me? We want to see what y'all got going on. Charles Booker, Mayor Fischer, Erica Shields, county clerks, all of them, judges and everything. But, you know, that's my time, y'all. Speak for Streets.
Thank you, Streets. So we need this conversation. We need this community conversation. If you guys is worried about what happened on February 6th, y'all have another thing coming. We ready. We here with list of everything that you need to make us move in this movement. And I would like to call up Maxwell to give you a little bit more on that.
Hi. MAXWELL, MITCHELL. I agree with Chris when he says that this community conversation is extremely necessary. You know, one of the things that I heard myself is that on February 6th at, I think it was Spiritfield Church, there was a lot of yelling and whatnot, and questions weren't able to be heard, answers weren't able to be heard either. And that combined with what I assume COVID-19 limitations on crowd sizes, I decided to throw some HTML, CSS, JavaScript together and build a little web page where people can put their first name, last name, their question, and specifically who they want to direct it to, whether Fisher or Shields, and send those questions in. That way the community is heard and then we can put those questions together, have them voiced by one person, small group of people, 5 to 7 to 10 in that room, and obviously Shields and Fischer. And that way, the community can be heard, we can get around those aspects of COVID-19 limitations, and we can hear answers and questions too. But I just wanted to say that there is something in place to get around these roadblocks so we can have these conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxwell. Got something else? Good. We need this conversation. We need this community conversation. There was a Zoom video conversation with Mayor Fischer and Vincent James on March the 5th. Mayor Fischer spoke towards a second meeting for us to have this community engagement. And I'm going to bring up Neil Robinson to speak more on that because we never got that second meeting. So we need this conversation. Neil?
Good evening or good afternoon, should we say. I'm glad to be here. Actually, I'm glad to be anywhere. I'm alive. I want to give a shout out to my friend whose daughter just got murdered up at the club. That's a conversation that I'm thinking about. Then my cousin, who we're burying Friday, he was 23. So that's another something that's going through my head at the moment. And then my uncle, who just passed away at 63, he was a veteran, things of that nature. He lived a great life here in the city. So in regards to what he's talking about the meeting, Maxwell kind of told you guys a little bit about the meeting that they had at the church. And it was well attended. Although COVID was going on, it was very well attended. Then there was a screaming match, the mayor, the chief of police, as well as some people that's in the crowd hollering back and forth trying to figure out, hey, when can we meet with you? When can we have a conversation? So what he did, we talked, we set up a Zoom meeting. But actually, if you read the Zoom meeting, it said Mayor Fischer with Neil Robertson. So what I did, I thought that would be a great opportunity to bring in all the protesters and people in different agencies who feel like that they're invisible in the city of Louisville, Kentucky. So we had a meeting. Everybody had an opportunity to go up and speak to the mayor and say what they wanted to say to the mayor. And after we closed that meeting, he came up and said, hey, we're going to have another meeting. He gave me the date, but he never gave me the time. So what happened is people went to the church assuming that it was going to be at 11 o'clock. And I'm like, no, he didn't say 11. He said, hold on. Once he get free, he was going to call me back to make sure that I had that information and know where to meet at. And he said 5 o'clock. So at that point, everybody that went to the church was discouraged, and a lot of mental things going on with inside themselves, coming up and trying to figure out, hey, we didn't have a meeting. He lied to us and things like that. When in fact, and I'm not taking it for anybody, he didn't lie. The meeting went through. He agreed he want to work with protesters, agencies, people in the community, because at some point, and I'll say it again like I've been saying, at some point, we're going to have to figure out how can we bring Louisville back together. We're so divided. Everybody's gone their separate ways, doing their own thing. But who's going to be these people that's going to say, hey, what solution can I bring into our city? How can I help? It's not about the mayor. It's not about Erica Shields. It's about the people coming together for one thing, to figure out just what we can do to rebuild our city. We're destroying our own city, and I get it. Police not doing the right thing. I get that. But if you go downtown and you look around, people in the community is not doing the right thing. Trash is everywhere. Yes. Abandoned buildings are everywhere. We need to be focusing in on things like that to try to bring our city back together. I went up to 4th Street Live. They're working on trying to rebuild 4th Street Live. That's not even good at this point because they're not engaging the people. And people want to be a part of that, trying to fix up our community. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on. Yeah, I even went to Derby, to let it be known. I went to Derby. I went in there, and I'm glad you saw me. Guess why? You don't know why I was there. I was with a whole station talking about black issues. Why are blacks not included? the divide. We came downtown and saw all the festivities that was going on downtown. Nothing was going on. Then we went out there. And I'm not hiding, I'm a grown man. I walked in. Yes, I did. And I'll go again next year too, because like I said, at some point, we got to figure out how we're going to rebuild our city. The mayor got 18 months left. What are we going to do? Blame it on the next mayor? No, you all voted for him. And all the other elected officials that you voted for. So you're going to have to live with what they're doing for the years that they're in office. Love, hate. But the meeting took place at 5. We discussed some things, and he still want to have another meeting where all the protesters could be involved. Because what happened was a lot of people that weren't protesters, they came to the first meeting and basically talked about their needs opposed to what we were trying to do. We was trying to bridge that gap in front of figure out, hey, what can we do to help our city? How can we work together? Because if not, guess what? We're screwed. We already got lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. I don't think it's going to be enough money to cover any agency at that point, because all our taxpaying dollars are going to be going to lawsuits. It's going to bust our city wide open in terms of taxpaying dollars. My taxpaying dollars are going to all the people that's about to sue the city. And I don't appreciate that, giving up my taxpaying dollars. But once again, the conversation is still on the table. And whenever they're ready and the mayor's ready, they'll meet. And they'll discuss their issues. But then another thing too, people had to have all their ducks in a row, all their paperwork ready to give. And I'll pull up my phone and show you, only one person sent me that information for that to happen. So you have to be prepared when you go have a meeting with anybody. So, any questions for me? Before you sure? Okay, great.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. So we need this community conversation. With all being said is what's going on, not just here, but it's going on everywhere. And we need a change, and this is how we change and have community engagements. Come out, sit down, and talk to us. I don't care if it's about one organization at a time, one person at a time, but please come talk to us, because all of us have the same exact problem. The government. Systematically, just everything. And I would like to bring up Andrea. She would like to talk about more stuff about the organization that she has as well.
All right. My name is Andrea Anderson. I'm with a group called Me Find Me. We've been out here since the very, very beginnings. The curfew actually came about, that 11 o'clock curfew actually came about the day that Tyler Girth got killed. When he got shot, they took our tents. They threw it in the dumpsters. The police lied and said they would have our stuff out here when we got back. They deemed this a crime scene, and when we got back, all of our belongings was in the Louisville dump. That's the day that the 11 o'clock curfew on this park started. We should not have to take these pieces out. We have someone like Aaron. He makes artwork for all kinds of people. He has 2 pieces of Breonna Taylor that looks beautiful. One, as you can see, which is right here. We have both of them out on the 13th. These pieces are pretty heavy. I don't know if you can tell. They're pretty heavy. It's a bit much for people to have to pick up and take back daily. It's too much. It's a memorial. It ought to stay in place. Just like George Floyd's or anybody else's memorial, it should go untouched. If you touch it, it's pretty much saying that you're dishonoring and disrespecting the memorial. The mayor and anybody else who has said they need to take this down daily are being disrespectful and dishonoring Breonna Taylor and her family, period. When I first got here, I saw a mother and her daughter standing right here after they had got this set up. They were taking pictures. The mother was showing her daughter, this is a Breonna Taylor memorial. They had something to see. An hour before that, there was nothing out here. Nothing but an empty space. What the city wants right here is to be an eyesore, an empty space. If that was nothing here, the mother would have had nothing to show her daughter. She would not have had
be able to see this beautiful painting and all the posters that we're trying to keep out here. This is just a small segment of what we have for Breonna Taylor. This memorial is really much bigger than this. But daily, since you have to pick it up and take it out of here at 11 o'clock, you only got a few people that will help volunteer to do that every day. That's a job. You actually, whoever told them they have to take it down should pay the people who have to bring it out here. Why? Because it's a job. They shouldn't have to break it down every day. It's disrespectful to the family and the city of Louisville to have to break down a memorial that we set up in honor of Breonna Taylor and her family. So we need the mayor to know, stop being disrespectful to the family and the city. We're here daily. We would like to keep this peace here daily, not till 11 o'clock, daily. Don't throw it in a dumpster because we left it out here overnight and you don't want the people to see why it's out here because you murdered and slain a young lady. This is the reason we keep it out here, so people can know what the city of Louisville is doing to black people. Period. Period. So don't get upset because you don't want people to know. You don't want to be reminded of why Breonna Taylor was slain. This is a reminder of what the city did to Breonna Taylor. You need to see it every day. For those of us who already stand in solidarity, we come out here and this is a space for us. For those of you who do not stand in the solidarity, you should. Because that could have been your family member. And they pick up your pieces and take it home and throw it in the dumpster. How would you feel? At the end of the day, stop being disrespectful. Mayor Fischer. Who? Shields. Oh yeah, Chief Erica Shields. Stop sending people down here to take stuff away. Okay? All of it is disrespectful to Breonna Taylor and her family.
Thank you. And it's crazy that in other cities and states is doing more for Breonna Taylor right here in Louisville, Kentucky. In Grand Rapids, there's a street named after her. Why just not here in this city? Why? And I would like to call up Riri. She has an organization, Better Dave Youth Coalition, that she's working on.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank y'all for having me. My name is, they call me Mama B, Mama Ree, and I'm co-founder of our organization is called Better Days Youth Coalition. My co-founder is my son. He goes by the name of Blasian. He's an artist, 20 years old. And what we recently have been doing, considering what's been going on in Louisville, is now that we have all eyes, we've had eyes on Louisville now for a minute. So now with the attention of DOJ, as they are saying they're doing an investigation on our government as well as LMPD, we are taking the steps to meet them halfway to address corrupt LMPD that are intentionally harming us, bringing harm against our citizens and locking us up continuously. So what we're doing now is we are encouraging folks to go ahead and file their complaint against LMPD. There's many ways that you can go to 28th in Virginia any day, any work day, weekday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Or you can go to any LMPD division and pick up a form, or you can also file it electronically. But we are encouraging folks to go out and file their complaints so that we can get these dots on here about these corrupt cops, and we can build up their files, and we're going to point out the bad cops to you all. So we're meeting y'all halfway so that we can create a safer community. So we got to start somewhere. So that is how we are taking the correct steps. We do it peacefully, and we'll continue to do that. I know this investigation will go on. I'm not really sure. They say it could take well over a year. So for the month of May, every Friday, we will be out in support at 28th in Virginia for anybody that wants to come out and file a complaint against LMPD. You don't have to do it alone. We will be out there. So I encourage everybody to go out and file complaints against LMPD if they have violated your rights, they violated policy, whatever it is that they may have done. We need to go ahead and file those complaints and get that on record and build these cases up against the LMPD cops. So that's what we're doing on our part to be proactive and we want to make a safer community, and we can start with these officers. As all of us, as citizens, we all have been through, whether it be through protesting or in another situation, we got to come together to point out these officers that are violating the powers, bringing harm against our citizens. We won't tolerate this anymore. We won't. So our power is in our organized energy, that we come together and we address this together peacefully, proactively. We're gonna go ahead and make change ourselves. We're not gonna wait. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Marie. I'm set up to do mines Friday to go file my complaints. I have so many, so it might take a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, because I have a lot, and I have all on documentation. I just need the badge numbers and these cops' names. And with that being said, on top of that, when we put these complaints out, is there a policy on how many complaints you can get as an officer in Louisville, Kentucky, or any kind of law stating that if you have, say for example, if you have like 20 complaints, okay, let's look into this guy, let's see what's going on. If it's get bad and get worse, he needs to be fired and held accountable. Period. And do anybody else want to say something before we wrap it up? Anybody else? Any questions? Any questions? Maxwell can answer that question.
So I think it is important to note that this isn't something that is currently scheduled, but we're working on getting it scheduled because of how necessary it actually is. The community came together today to raise a few topics that we can discuss during this community conversation, but there are many more to discuss. So when I'm not going to say if, because I hope it will, but when it does happen, I can say I'm going to try to live stream it, but if they don't want that, it'll be a recorded conversation. I'll video record it, and others will as well, and then publish it for people to see. But currently, I do not know the format that it will be, or until further conversation.
Is the Urban League still a possible location?
I was thinking launch Louisville, actually. 816 East Broadway, nice interior design, good aesthetics, open space. But I don't know. I haven't checked with the employees there, the manager or whatnot, or Siddiqa Reynolds, I believe. Siddiqa, sorry. But yes.
What steps have you already taken to try to get this forward?
A plethora of emails, phone calls as well, calling deputy chief, calling deputy mayor, and just it's just been going on for maybe 3 months now. Been attempting to sit down and speak to come to some understanding. There's just a lot of confusion going on. There's a lot of misunderstandings, and the only way to heal that, the only way to get to an understanding is to converse, is to speak. I can't speak for everyone, but I hope that we all saw that WDRB interview when Erica Shields sat down and said that, I need them to revert their attention, revert their focus, and help me. What did that mean? What did she really mean when she was saying that? I'm sure there's just some pretense there that we're unaware of. I don't know. But we won't know until we come to some understanding. What can happen here at 600 West Jefferson in this city? What are the options? Why did they decide to leave Travis Najee, Chris Rock off that plaque that is to come? I don't know. So many questions. But to leave people in the dark is never going to help build community, in my opinion. So let's converse. Let's talk about it.
Any more questions? Any more? All right, thank y'all. Appreciate it for coming out.